Serious, what is the best way to make the most of the last few weeks with a dying parent? I wish I had a recording of my dad saying my name. He had a nickname for me that only he used. I can hear it in my head, but worry that over time, that memory will fade. It won't. I know the feeling though. There are things I wish I had recordings of my husband saying, and my parents. I just realized that I want a video of my mom just talking to me. If I can save it for life, I feel like it would be invaluable as life goes on. When she's gone, I will want these things. No one will ever love me as much as my mom does. No one. Ever. That's so powerful. Can you imagine doing anything for someone? I mean, anything. Cost is no object. Time is no object. They would trudge to the end of the earth for you or die trying. I can't. But I know there is someone in this world that I could ask for anything, at any time, and she would do it. That level of loyalty cannot be attained by any means other than being born. Be with them. But if I could have, I would have recorded myself reading books for my mom when she had cancer. She was too tired to read. Also wished I had more pictures of her. I have no recordings. When my dad had his cancer, I spent the last 2 weeks with him. I watched TV with him. 7 sat through the Super Bowl. As he got worse and went into the hospital, I spent the whole time with him, only leaving for a few hours for food. And one night, when I had a migraine in the 8 days he was there, it was hard. He went downhill so fast that his legs stopped working while his sister took me out to get real food. He couldn't stand the smell of food, so I was eating what I could grab from the vending machine. But I was there. I didn't get to be with mom as I didn't take her stopping chemo to mean she would pass away in 2 weeks. Thanks for the silver. Be with your loved ones and treasure memories of them. I kept birthday cards, etc. But do not forget to take care of yourself. Do not feel guilty about caring for the carriage either. Make the visits memorable, but I would not want my loved ones putting entire lives on hold. Only you know the right balance and can relax into the appropriate pattern. Take note that many patients nearing death prefer to be alone. Oftentimes loved ones will expire at the precise second their family takes a bathroom break. This is okay. Go easy on yourself and God bless. My dad did. He finally was resting and breathing comfortably. We knew the end was near, but thought would be a day or two yet. I and his wife went to get food and my brother and mom, his ex-wife, stayed with him. I had been dreading the moment of his passing. I'm an MD, and it's really hard to have that clinical eye and watch someone you love when you know what's happening in their body, and his wife wouldn't have been able to handle it. She was a wreck. He passed as I was eating my absolute favorite burger in town. My brother and mom wanted to be there and were. I wish I could tell him he made it as easy for us as it could have been. As an aside, being in medicine was very helpful to make his last few days go smoothly. I knew how to help him when he was uncomfortable, and we only had one short bad moment where he was truly suffering with a hunger before I was able to get him some meds. Death doesn't have to be terrible, but I can't imagine it would have been as smooth if I was in a different field. Advocate for your loved one. There is probably something that can be done to ease their suffering, whatever it may be. I would, with consent, try to record conversations with them for posterity about their life, past, and just casual chat. Edit. I'm glad this has been helpful advice and I appreciate all the stories I've received in response. I can't reply to all of you, but I appreciate it. Strongly agree. I lost my dad 13 years ago, and I have one good recording that I play whenever I find myself forgetting the sound of his voice, which totally happens, and is heartbreaking when you realize. My grandpa put his life story on cassette tapes, and I find it very comforting to hear his voice and laughter. The best one is when he went skinny dipping and saw a girl naked for the first time. You'll know what happens. Makes me laugh to hear him laughing. Edit. Thank you for the wholesome award, kind stranger. As a parent, I think that I would love to hear that I did a good job raising my kid or kids, and that they feel they had a good childhood. Reminiscing about good times. Looking through old photos. I think just being reminded of the good life I had would be very comforting. I need to go call my dad. Do it. I wish I could. Just be there. That's all they want. And that's all that matters. Don't concentrate on making these moments count or anything like that. You don't have to go checking off bucket list items. Just be there. Talk. Tell stories. Ask them questions. Laugh. Read to them. Spend that remaining time together. That, and additionally, consider looking into palliative care. The care workers are extremely precious. Sometimes dying people have something on their heart that they cannot share with their family, and talking to a stranger, as weird as that sounds, helps them let that go. Some aren't able to die when there's still something outstanding. The workers also help you with medication, if needed, that can make it easier for the person to go, in case they are dying of illness. Also, if possible, talk to them about their funeral, not only about whether they want cremation or a burial, or whatever. You'll be met with a shitton of decisions right after their death. And I'm talking right after they died. Like, the loved one still lying in the room, literally not cold yet, and the undertaker wants to hear about what decorations you want for the memorial ceremony. I've spent the last few weeks taking care of my dying grandfather at home, holding his hand, watching him diminish further each day and night. At last he wasn't able to speak to me anymore, but he appreciated my being there. Now he has passed, and I'm met with a shitton of responsibilities that I have no effing clue of, nor do my parents. Plus my mom's fucking miserable, and I want to support her as best as I can. All the while everything's shutting down because of COVID-19. No idea whether my grandma will be allowed to attend the funeral at all, since they are isolating the retirement home. We thought we had planned out everything before, but things got a little rushed in the end. So when he eventually passed, we just sat there, in the middle of the night, looking at each other. So, let's Google undertakers around town. I guess, it's macabre. And now, while looking for music to play at the memorial, I realized that I didn't even ask him once in his life what kind of music he liked. And it fucking tears me apart. Palliative care is such a relief during those final weeks and days. The caregivers are phenomenal at their jobs and do all the hands-on stuff, so family can just have meaningful time with their loved one. I recommend it for anyone who can swing it, even if it's just a few hours a day. My dad suffered from an illness that took 5 years to kill him. He got progressively less lucid over that period, and for the last year or so he had no idea who I was. While that aspect was pretty heartbreaking, I don't regret any of the time I spent with him. He would very occasionally have moments of clarity, and it was worth the hours and days spent sitting with him being non-communicative, just to have a few seconds or a minute with my dad once in a while. So I guess whatever you do with your parent, the most important thing in my opinion is time. I hope you're as well as you can in the circumstances. I don't often feel much in the way of emotion, but damn, this really got me. Take care. Thanks. I posted this before, but just thought I'd share again for more perspective on what dealing with this situation can be like. Do not mean to fish for points. Oh man. This comment brought back memories of when my dad would occasionally have a lucid moment from his Alzheimer's. He was a serial entrepreneur in life, and so a lot of the time, when I'd be over, he'd explain his latest ideas for the next big thing in great detail. These got wackier and wackier over the months and years as the illness progressed. I'm not going to lie, some of them were very amusing. Like when he was convinced he'd invented a system to melt ice on the roads without laying down grit, but instead by selling an exhaust pipe extension that simply made the fumes blow towards the road. I played along for the most part, because it felt cruel to discourage him. Anyway, I'm rambling, but every so often he'd stop talking in the middle of a sentence and just sit back in his chair and say, "I'm talking complete nonsense again, aren't I?" with a look of utter disgust and resignation on his face. Seriously though, fuck Alzheimer's and fuck Parkinson's. There are few less graceful ways to spend your final years. Apostrophe. If possible, get them to a place they wanted to go to but never did. Take them to their favorite restaurant/bar/inn. Even if it's a dive. Read the news/book or something with them, or aloud for them. Above all, support whatever decision they've made about approaching the end of their life, including directly talking about it, no matter how painful it may be for you. Best wishes for peace. I just wanna reiterate, directly talking about it My grandpa keeps talking about his will and worldly possessions after he passes and made me executor of his will. Like has basically saying goodbye and that I will probably have to go fisticuffs with a couple of aunts. Sucks so fucking hard. It's a real honor for him to trust you to do that. Though, don't forget that if/when fights happen, he knew you were the right person for the job and would stand behind what you think is right. Hey, thanks for watching and don't forget to subscribe.